Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, we've got a tough conversation in front of us today, and that is, of course, going to be the irrational actions of the Hoyoverse community, specifically those that are big ol' fans of Genshin Impact, because it's no lie at all to say that these Hoyo shills, these individuals, they've done a lot over the past 5 years that Genshin Impact has been live. They've gone ahead, they've done things, right? Like off cats that look like characters they don't like. They've harassed VAs for voicing characters that are off meta. And most recently, they've done things like cause the Skirk VA to be canceled because she promoted a joke ship between her and her boyfriend. And, well, most recently, they've started actively brigading. This is a clip from my own live stream earlier today. They've started actively brigading Arknight's Enfield by going in, using new accounts, and publicly just shit-talking the game, saying that it looks boring, saying that it looks awful, when they have no recorded history ever saying anything else on your channel before. But hey, the second I start reacting to some Enfield stuff, we've got a bunch of new people in the community, all with some very pointed things to say about the game. Huh, very interesting. All of these accounts are really old as well. Looks pretty legit to me, right? That's an example of some of the stuff that the Hoyoverse community has been up to recently. And we've got Mr. Glaive Keo over here to provide some glue for why this fandom is so goddamn toxic. So let's go ahead, and with that intro done, let's get right on into it.
The fandom for Genshin Impact is one of the largest and most active in the world. It is a global community known for its incredible creativity, while also having a notorious reputation for its internal conflicts. It is a space where passion can quickly curdle into something far more hostile. A recent controversy provides a perfect and frankly disturbing story of how this happens.
I'm pretty sure I know the one that Glaive's going to be talking about over here. But, yeah, that there's no lie at all to say that this community has been up to and probably causes the most issues overall in any space related to Gacha. I think the only reason why we're not seeing the Brigade NTEs, or Brigade, sorry, not NTE, but Brigade Ananta is the fact that it doesn't have Gacha anymore, at least for their characters. If it's a game that they feel like is going to compete with Genshin, if it's a game that they feel like is going to interrupt the cash cow of Hoyoverse, oh, you already know what people are gonna do.
It's about a voice actor, a playful joke about a fan pairing, and the wildly disproportionate backlash that followed. Looking closer, it becomes...
How deep does he go on into this? All right, I think he gets a lot more context. I think he investigates a lot more on the issue than what we've done before.
A potent example of several destructive forces common in modern fandoms: the intense nature of shipping culture, the weaponization of fan theories, the erosion of the boundary between a creator's public work and private life, and the volatile dynamics of one-sided parasocial relationships. All of these complicated forces recently converged in one person in a very public, very messy way. The person at the center of it all was Kat Pratano, the English voice actor for Skirk. Before this incident, if you follow.
And you want to know what the crazy thing about this is that this VA was, I'm pretty sure, one of the ones that was like the most immersed in the community. They were shit posting on Twitter all the time, making jokes, talking about like the skirkussy and all of that shit. And now they've gone basically radio silent after just a couple months of interaction. I feel like it takes a lot for somebody that was willing to go that far and was saying shit like that weird. Clearly a goofy goober. And that's all gone now.
Followed her online, you would know she was one of the more engaged VAs in the community. Not in a highly toxic, dramatic way, but she was very playful, very interactive, the kind of creator who seems to genuinely enjoy the fandom space. And so she starts posting about a crack ship. For anyone who doesn't know, a crack ship is a fan pairing that is intentionally bizarre, with zero plausible basis in the actual story. It is a joke. In this case, the ship was between her character, Skirk, and another character named Rarer. The reason for this this pairing wasn't hidden deep in the game's lore. It wasn't about the hair color either, or I don't know. It was actually based on something outside of the game. Kat Pertano, the voice of Skirk, is in a real-life relationship with the voice actor for Rere. The ship was simply an inside joke about their own lives, reflected through their characters. It was wholesome, it was silly, and I've seen a lot of fans even made arts for it. And for a
They do shit like this in other regions all the fucking time. Specifically, they do this a lot in JP. If you guys are familiar with anime, I'm just going to list off some examples. I don't personally care how you feel about the anime that I'm talking about in particular. It's just something with the MCs. The Re:Zero protagonist, as well as I believe the Mushoku Tensei protagonist. The Mushoku one is voiced by a woman. The Re:Zero one is voiced by a male. And they're actually married in real life. And so what they would do is they would take the Rudeus character and then ship them with the Subaru character, right? They're both not gay because they're canonically, one of them has like multiple wives and the other is like 100% in love with the woman. But they're shipping together these two male characters because the VAs, yes, women in Japan oftentimes voice men, the VAs are engaged or they're married. And so, yeah, they make a homosexual ship between the two, and nobody freaks out. Everyone thinks it's just fine because it's literally like a real-life joke, that sort of stuff. But the second you start doing that for Genshin Impact, and maybe specifically the global side of Genshin Impact, well, you can imagine what fucking happened. Yeah, a bunch of mentally ill people schizoing out.
little while, that's all it was. But this is the Genshin community, so of course it didn't last. I consent. I consent. I don't consent. Is there someone you forgot to ask?
This is basically the Hoyoverse community. Is everyone's entirely okay with what's going on, and then they'll be the ones that start freaking out. And this is the thing. You can just use the example of an issue that I've covered before. The female rover VA situation. When female rover's VA got fired due to her toxic actions against the Wuthering Waves community. She recognized that her actions led to somebody getting doxxed. The doxxed person identified that her actions led to them getting doxxed. But Hoyo shills are coming in because they need to talk shit about Wuthering Waves. They're going in and then saying that rover's VAs, their actions didn't lead to anybody getting doxxed, when she herself confirmed it. It's the exact stuff like this. Everyone will have, like, facts about the situation. Everyone will know what's going on. And then a Hoyo shill group will come in and then misinterpret the narrative and then start actively spreading misinformation. They're always just in a situation where they'll be the individuals that have a problem with something when nobody else does. Every single time. And this is just another example.
The backlash that began to form wasn't a simple disapproval. It was a full-blown campaign of moral panic. This is when a group becomes convicted that some perceived evil is threatening the community, and they react with disproportionate hostility. The central accusation they settled on was that the ship was analogous to grooming. The justification for this was a journey, to say the least.
I'm glad that Glaive actually went into the nitty-gritty of what the complaints were about, because I didn't do that in my video. Yeah, I didn't get right on into what all the actual, like, accusations were about, because I knew they were bullshit. I knew they were stupid. And now that I'm hearing about them, brother, what do you mean grooming?
The argument constructed by the most dedicated lore enthusiasts went like this. Skirk's master is a character named Sertologi, one of the...
Bro actually did the research to verify why these claims were stupid.
Sinners from a fallen nation. The character Rere is also a sinner, which they argued makes him a peer of Skirk's master, Sertologi. And since Skirk was trained from a young age, any romantic relationship with a peer of her master would be predatory.
Bro, does it matter when they're all like 10 million years old? Like, does it matter when one of them is 100 million years old and the other one's only 99?
Using a knowledge of a fictional world to construct what looks like a legal argument against something you simply don't like. The game's own story becomes ammunition in a fan dispute. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't stop there though. Other complaints piled on. Fan art depicting the powerful Skirk as the tsundere. You know, the trope where a character is cold at first before they start warming up and then they show their true side. That was called a mischaracterization by the fandom. Depicting her in a submissive pose was treated as an attack on her character or something. So what started as a voice actor lighthearted joke was now being treated as a serious serious moral transgression.
I'll just repeat a statement that I've frequently made when it comes to the Genshin Impact Hoyoverse community. Hoyoverse should 1000% be given some sort of like stipend, some sort of like rebate from country governments. Because they're basically running the equivalent of a mental asylum for these fucking freaks. Because you know for certain, if these guys didn't have Genshin Impact to occupy them for 10 out of the 24 hours of the day, they would be outside committing crimes. Sorry, they wouldn't go outside, but they would probably go online and just go commit crimes. Oh, wait, they already do that. Never mind, they would commit more crimes than they already do at the present. So, in a lot of ways, Hoyoverse is literally performing like a public service that should be done by the government to like quarantine these individuals from the general populace. Cause they are fucking freaks, man.
Prosecuted with the game's most obscure lore as legal text. And those accusations, they were aimed directly at a real person who would eventually be forced to respond. In a series of posts on her X account,
You took one of the most dedicated community-involved VAs for your game and basically painted them as, like, adjacent to a PDF because they wanted to have a fun little interaction with their partner in real life. That is what the grooming accusation essentially means.
Bertano addressed the situation. Her first tweet was a direct attempt to de-escalate.
They called her the Epstein of Genshin.
Apply simple logic to a situation that had become completely illogical. She wrote, "I didn't realize it would become a big deal, but just to clear
That's crazy if true.
things up, it is a crack ship for funsies." She then explicitly addressed the most severe claims. "I didn't mean to insinuate any kind of grooming or mischaracterization of Skirk. It is a clear, straightforward statement. An attempt to remind everyone the foundation of this drama was a joke." In the follow-up, you can see her having to explain the very human motivation behind it. She says, "It was purely me being silly and in love and enjoying something with my partner while being appreciative of fan work. I was never serious, I promise." Now here, the dynamic becomes particularly grim. The very things that made her an engaging figure.
I guess the problem here is that a lot of people are saying that she shouldn't have apologized. A lot of people are saying that she shouldn't have said anything. Her apologizing, in my opinion, is her recognizing how absurdly toxic and, most importantly, delusional the Hoyoverse community actually is. Once they have this narrative formed, once they've created the misinfo, they love carrying it forward and they love advertising it as much as possible. Here's an example of where they literally did just that. But it's in the context of course, Wuthering Waves. You got people going ahead and openly just saying that the Wuthering Waves community harassed a Zenless Zone Zero voice actor, when the only people harassing the Zenless Zone Zero voice actor were Zenless Zone Zero players themselves. And, like, you're seeing that this post either is getting, like, botted, or it's just actually getting, like, just licked up and absorbed by this delusional community. But they're just openly lying, spreading misinfo, and allowing it to just ferment like this constantly in so many situations. And the thing is that her addressing this openly, being this apologetic about it, is one way to prevent this sort of bullshit from happening. Where somebody is then going to just make the claim, right, that, like, Capritano, Skirk's VA, actually is, like, I don't know, like, doing this with other characters. Oh, did you guys see what she said about, I don't know, like, Kachina or some shit? And then they, like, take some quote, they, like, make some shit up. Who fucking knows? But it could just immediately turn into something much worse, because you know that this community just will openly lie for fun, as long as it's something that fits whatever flavor of the month narrative they have active at the moment. And the flavor of the month narrative during this time was Capritano is a groomer, which is obviously bullshit, but that's what they were going with. And I'm not gonna lie, that's a pretty fucking rough accusation to deal with. out of the fucking blue for somebody that's this involved in social media. So I'm pretty sure it was just like a full frontal defense to just get that shit taken care of right away. Because you already know how the mentally ill are gonna spin it if she didn't respond like that.
Openness about her life, her relationship, her previously discussed.
But it's bullshit that she had to even apologize for it in the first place. I agree with you. But that's the thing. When you work with the Hoyoverse community, when you work with Genshin Impact, when you're a VA for that game, and you openly engage with the community, part of it is knowing what you're getting yourself into. You are playing with fire, literally, by even attempting to interact with this community.
Struggles with anxiety were the exact vulnerabilities that were targeted. The personal connection she built was twisted into ammunition to be used against her. This all leads to the inevitable conclusion of stories like this. Her final tweet in the thread reads, "I realize I should be more professional and represent my work better, so I will likely be stepping away from Twitter for a bit."
Who wins here? You had a VA that was improving the community, helping people get along, you know, adding a lot of flair, adding a lot of style, all that stuff to the engagement. And now you went ahead because the Hoyo shills just wanted to get mad about literally nothing because they are sad, sad individuals that have, you can just tell, getting mad about that inherently means you have nothing going on in your life. And so you're just trying to displace as much of your unhappiness as possible and then place it onto other people. That's what these individuals are doing. And so they've gotten their daily dose of bullshit out of the way. They fuck someone else over. They're just going to move on to the next thing. They're probably going to make up more rumors about Wuthering Waves that just aren't true. And now Kat Pratano isn't going to post on Twitter anymore. Who won in this situation? Nobody. Everybody is a loser here. And that's the craziest part about this situation. Nobody benefited from this, but these guys just wanted to do it.
To understand what this statement really is. It isn't an admission of genuine wrongdoing, it is a surrender. She gave up on y'all, bruh. It is a result of where engaging with the community has become too high of a price to pay. It is the chilling effect in action. A creator celebrated for being personal is now forced back into a distant, professional box, punished for the very interaction a fandom supposedly craves. Her stepping back is the logical outcome when a creator's personal life becomes a battleground for fictional disputes, which leaves us with a much bigger question. What is it about the culture of this fandom that allows something so absurd to escalate to this point?
This is what I'm really interested to hear about.
And to understand that, you have to look at the foundation of how Genshin Impact is designed, not just as a game, but as a product. If you don't know already, Genshin is a gacha game, and a core part of that business model is getting players to spend money on a wide variety of characters. To do that, the developers need as many players as possible to feel a personal connection to as many characters as possible.
If you do this, get a life. I'm just being entirely honest. You need to get a life. This is, to me, the biggest sign of, like, unemployment, no friends, no, like, ability to socially interact, like, absolutely unfulfilled. Like, this is, and I don't care what game it is. It could be Genshin, it could be your daily fucking Geshulin account. I don't fucking care. Like, what the fuck even is this? What is this shit? This is, like, the biggest fucking, like, this is like holding up a fucking Tony from Tony from the fucking, like, light shop. I have a mental illness. Look at me, guys. I have one. You couldn't waterboard. If I had one of these, you couldn't waterboard information like that out of me. This is it's just like fucking embarrassing.
Characters as possible. The easiest way to ensure that is to make every playable character remain more or less romantically available to the player's imagination. So Hoyoverse almost never confirms official romantic relationships. In this case, it is a void where no fan pairing or ship is officially real. You might think this would lead to a peaceful, let everyone enjoy what they want attitude, but in practice, it often does the exact opposite, fostering a fierce market-like competition for narrative real estate. They are all fighting for their ship to be seen as the most dominant or correct one.
They're so focused on the relationships that fictional characters have because they do not have any in real fucking life to pay any attention to. That's really just fucking it. It's like they're using their, like, it's, when you think about it, they're literally using their imagination as an escape to cope, or as an escape from reality. That's like to a certain degree, that's not particularly healthy. That's like, that's literally delusional.
This isn't unique to Genshin either, though. We have seen similar extreme reaction in other Hoyoverse titles, like the backlash to a male and female character simply interacting in a Honkai Star Rail trailer. The primary way they fight for this territory is by treating their personal...
They sent, basically, death threats to the Honkai Star Rail lead writer because the gender-fluid MC, by the way, who can be both male and female, held hands with the female character. The gender-fluid MC held the hand of a female character, and they started sending death threats to the main writer of HSR.
Interpretations as undeniable fact. In fandom, we have the term headcanon, right? Your personal version of the story that lives in your head. It's supposed to be fun, creative exercise in this highly competitive environment. However, headcanon can stop being a personal interpretation and become a set of beliefs, treated as absolutely unquestionably true. This is where the enforcers come in. The fans who see themselves as the guardians of this argument, of this headcanon ship. They don't just share their interpretations, they aggressively police the fan content of others.
This is why I like Wuthering Waves' integration of relationships. When everybody just likes the MC, loves the MC, there's no question about it. Because you can just be like, you don't have to worry about this weird fucking shit where it's like, well, actually, Raiden Mai wouldn't like the Traveler like that because she's a lesbian and likes Yae Miko. And so you're not allowed to. It's just like, oh, okay, they like the Rover, cool. Who's your Rover? It's male Rover, cool. Who's your Rover? Female Rover. Okay, that's cool too. All right, we're cool. It's like, it actually prevents so much of this just retarded discussion that goes on in all these other game communities. Oh, yeah, actually, it's like Fei Zhao and Mosey isn't, like, canon. Actually, Robin's a lesbian for Rappa. Or, geez, like, oh my fucking god, bro. When they start shipping a playable character with another playable character, that's how you know the discussion is absolutely cooked.
Attacking an artist for drawing a character in a relationship they disapprove of, or with a personality that contradicts their specific headcanon. Oh, but this character is gay. Oh, but this character likes women. Oh. All of this is amplified by social media echo chambers, where they can find hundreds of others who believe the exact same thing, reinforcing the idea that their opinion is the only correct one. So this is the environment, a void left by the game, filled by factions aggressively defending their version of the truth. That still doesn't explain the sheer intensity, why a fictional disagreement can feel like a profound personal betrayal. And for that, we need to look at the psychology behind the screen. And that's
Glaive is absolutely spitting over here, by the way. We kind of did end up saying the same thing because he did the funny voice as well. But yeah, he's spitting it over here. I could confirm. Wink.
Psychology often revolves around what is called a parasocial relationship. Well, let me explain. A parasocial relationship is the one-sided bond you feel with someone in the media. You feel like you know them, but they don't know you. For a long time, this was a distant thing, like with a movie star on screen, or with Pokimane or something like that. Social media has fundamentally changed all of this. Creators and voice actors like Kat Pratano are accessible. They are on Twitter, and they reply to fans. They like the fan art, they repost it. They share details about their lives, all of which cultivates a powerful illusion of intimacy. It no longer feels like a distant star. It feels like a real two-way friendship. For most people, this is harmless.
There's actually a reason why I try not to engage too much with my viewers off stream. Part of it is because I don't want it to get fucking weird. Like, I know a lot of streamers end up making it kind of weird where they like share a bunch about like their fucking life like all the fucking time. And then it's like, okay, it's like, but you don't actually know me like that and stuff like that. I like keeping a relatively fair amount of space. I like to keep a relative fair amount of space, keep it clean, keep it, you know, keep it safe for work, that sort of stuff. Yeah, it's just when people start talking and like posting all this weird shit on like Twitter or just like getting like revealing way too much about like their personal life or like personal troubles. I'm like, guys, like, this is your job. This is your job. You do this to keep the lights on. You do this to pay your internet bill. You do this to pay your electricity bill, to put food on the table, all of this. It's like, I don't know, if I was working at a fucking gas station, would the person that I'm selling Doritos to give a fuck that, like, I was, you know, I had, like, this sort of thing going on? And the answer is, like, probably not. And, like, I know content creation is not necessarily, like, a one-to-one to working at a gas station, but part of it is just, like, well, you don't really want your personal life affecting your work too much. That's a pretty... I feel like that's a line a lot of people cross way too often, and they don't end up seeing the consequences in advance. And I think a good part of it is due to the fact that a lot of content creators haven't had a prior career before. Right? They have not had the experience of, like, working at, like, an office job, working at, like, you know, like an actual professional environment. And I think that results in a lot of people making some pretty dumb decisions. There's space for a reason, guys. It's not that it's not because I hate you.
For a small, highly invested minority, that feeling of affection can curdle into a sense of ownership. They've invested so much emotional energy to this friendship that they begin to feel that they have a say in how their friend should behave. When that creator, their friend, violates their unwritten rules by supporting the wrong ship, it isn't just a simple disagreement. It is experienced as a profound personal betrayal. The harassment that follows is what you could call parasocial punishment.
And that's one thing that I'm actively trying to avoid as well.
Oh, I need to make sure that Sate is on my side for this one. Oh, if Sate does agree with me, this is gonna be the worst thing ever.
It's just random anger that would make more sense, but it is an actual attempt to
get Sate on the phone. What does he think about this?
Guys, there's oftentimes a lot of times where people like link something to me and I'm just like, I don't really care. Yeah, I'm good. I don't care enough about this. Because, like, literally, I don't.
correct the creator's behavior, punishing them for breaking the rules of a relationship that only exists on one side. And if it's one guy, it wouldn't be as bad. But it becomes far more intense when amplified by a group dynamic. It's like collective narcissism. A group develops an inflated sense of its importance and superiority, becoming extremely sensitive to any perceived threat. It is like a whole group sharing one big, fragile ego. Shipping factions can be a perfect breeding ground for this. A group can start to believe that their interpretation isn't just an opinion, it is the superior opinion, the most correct, the most faithful to the canon. From that perspective, when a voice actor promotes a rival ship, it is not a fun difference of opinion. It is seen as a threat to the group's identity. The reaction is proportional to that threat. The goal isn't to debate, it is to annihilate the threat. And now,
do you ever see this type of like crazy emotional response in any situation within Wuthering Waves? The answer is no. Literally, I have not seen a single drama of the game regarding like ships. Because, well, it's just everyone ships people with Rover, and then that's pretty much it. That's the end of the discussion. And then if people do other stuff, nobody cares. Literally, I have never seen anybody care about anything. And I think the only ship in-game that's gotten shit, and rightfully so, is like some fucking weirdo trying to like create some ship between, I think, like Encore and Alto. I think that's the only one that got like publicly shit-talked. For good fucking reason.
Nowadays, often by making it seem morally sick, as with the grooming accusations, so it can be dismissed entirely. There is also a simpler, more direct motivation. For some individuals who may feel a lack of power or control in their own lives, forcing a public figure to bend to their will is a tangible win. It is a way to bring others down, which can feel powerful.
Oh, and one thing that I love doing, by the way, guys, is ensuring that these Hoyo shills, because they've gone after me multiple times, right? They've gone after me multiple times. That's why I have this video over here titled, I'm sorry, regarding the female rover situation. Because these guys love the opportunity, right? And once again, I'll reflect back to what I said before. They have nothing going on in their lives. They have nothing that they look forward to doing every single day. And so the only desire that they have, ladies and gentlemen, is to bring other people down to their level. And so when they see a CC, when they see a public figure, when they see this opportunity come up in front of them, they take it and try to run with it with everything that they have. And you can just read, right? You can just read, look at these comments, look at these individuals, see the shit that they're writing. And the only thing you can say is, wow. Look at all of these self-righteous losers who've decided to go on this crusade But unfortunately, the crusade was planned by a complete retard. And that's how it is every time. And the thing about this is that a lot of creators have struggles with this, right? They don't want to get brigaded. They don't want to deal with negative PR. But what I do with this, and the clear negative attention that all these shills are giving towards me, is I just farm it and then turn it into a video that makes me $100. And unfortunately, what this has led to is people don't do this with my stuff anymore. They realize it doesn't work on me because I just use it as an opportunity to make money off of them. And they've stopped doing this to me. I wish they kept doing it because it's just more free videos. And I also tank all the heat that other content creators might be subject to instead. But they've just sort of stopped. Yeah, they don't do this very often to me anymore because I think they realized it just makes me more money. But that's the proper way to do it. That's how content creators should be approaching this issue. And unfortunately, right, with Skirk's VA, she had an amazing opportunity to farm the fuck out of it as well, make fun of these fucking freaks. But she is actually a professional, right? She is employed by Hoyoverse. She's employed by all of these big name companies. I don't have those restrictions. So I can say whatever I want when it comes to this sort of stuff. And it's awesome, right? I have the freedom to do that, but a lot of people don't. So that's the unfortunate part. But this also means that with my freedom, I can shine a light on how these dynamics work as somebody that's been on the receiving end.
Dysfunctional motivator. So when you combine an individual's sense of parasocial betrayal with a group's narcissistic rage, you get the perfect storm for this kind of harassment. Understanding this is the engine driving the conflict is the first step toward figuring out what fundamental truths have been lost along the way. And those truths are fundamentally quite simple. They are the basic distinctions that get lost in the heat of these online warfare. First, and this should be the most obvious one, voice actors are not their characters.
Yes, some people don't know that.
They are professional performance hired to do a job. Kat Pratano is a person with their own life, relationships, and opinions. She is not Skirk. Her personal life does not and cannot dictate the fictional canon of the game. Second, your personal interpretation of the story.
And this is the thing. She's not just not Skirk. She's also only one of the 4 voices that Skirk has. She's one of the 4 different voice actors that does Skirk.
Is not the official story. Your headcanon is not canon. Sure, it is a huge and creative part of the fandom, and that's great, but it is not a set of laws to be enforced. The moment you treat your personal interpretations like an unchallengeable dogma, you have missed the entire point.
The unfortunate part is that Glaive is preaching here, right? Nobody can say that Glaive is wrong. But the thing is, the words that Glaive are saying, those are words that anybody above the mental age of 10 should already understand. But it's being explained here like it's new information, because clearly the target audience is a bunch of maldeveloped freaks who, I'm just gonna be honest, 500 years ago would have been kicked out of the village. They would have been exiled. They'd be excommunicated. Because they're just not fit for regular human society.
And finally, and most importantly, this discourse is not happening in a void. These are not just words thrown at a screen name. A real person is on the other side of that screen.
I'm telling you guys, it's, obviously, life was a lot worse back in the day. But one thing that a modern society has undeniably done is it's allowed individuals who would have literally been filtered naturally to carry on with their lives. Back in the day, these guys, they would not have made it because of the societal conditions back then, but nowadays, everyone can make it.
Whose mental health and career are being impacted. The harm is tangible. Despite all of this, the reaction to the incident also revealed something more hopeful. When this harassment campaign started, the response from the broader community was overwhelmingly supportive of Kat Pratano. For every toxic comment, there were dozens more condemning the attacks.
That's true. This is one thing that the more well-reasoned parts of the Genshin Hoyo community rallied around. There were a lot of posts talking shit about her, right? Trying to cancel her, calling her a groomer, all of that. But there were undeniably as well a lot of posts defending her, saying that these guys are fucking freaks, and of course, indicting the Hoyo community as a piece of shit. Because it is.
The problem, as it's so often the case online, is that the most aggressive voices are usually the loudest, while the reasonable silent majority often stays quiet. This really gets to the heart of how you can fix a community space. A healthier fandom isn't about eliminating all disagreements. It is about the positive majority refusing to cede the floor to its most toxic elements. And this becomes even more challenging, however, when official community spaces appear to enable the opposite. In this case, discussions about the controversy were reportedly censored and removed from official Genshin subreddits.
Yes. The Genshin Impact subreddit censored this discussion because, of course, it made the game look bad, and they can't have that.
Under vague rules, effectively silencing good faith conversation while allowing the hostile narrative to fester.
It would have been an amazing opportunity for the community to actually rally around Cat and say, this behavior is completely irrational. This is not a good reflection of the community. This is just a bunch of very vocal, this is just a vocal minority schizoing out. And it could have just been an overwhelming public response in support of the VA. But this is the thing. There's not enough faith in the Genshin community to just have a normal human response. I feel like part of it was the mods censoring the discussion because they were afraid that the subreddit was so filled with retards that they were going to agree with the people harassing Protano. That's my take. It would have been a perfect public thing if everyone just supported her, but I'm pretty sure they realized, yeah, this community is cooked as hell. They're just going to support the people talking shit about her and calling her a groomer.
While the discussion itself is controlled, the positive majority is neutered. The responsibility doesn't just lie with a handful of harassers, it lies with the community that decides what behavior it's willing to tolerate. Because the incident with Capratano isn't just a story about a crack ship, it is a perfect illustration of the impossible position creators find themselves in today. And that impossible position is really the heart of the matter. The incident with Capratano serves as a perfect and frankly exhausting case study of how dangerously blurred the boundaries have become in the modern online fandoms.
If the Wuwa community was even half as bad as the Genshin one, there would have been death threats sent to like the Yang Yang VA and the female Rover VA. No doubt at all. If it was even close to as bad, there would have been some crazy shit getting sent out, like people getting like fucking brigaded, like pipe bombs sent in the fucking mail. All everyone did was just make funny memes out of it. Yeah, that's what the Wuwa community, we made funny memes out of it. They make jokes, call her Yap Yap, all that shit. She posts a photo online and people calling her a groom. She make a joke about her IRL boyfriend in game. And then people calling her a groomer after months of interacting with the community at a super genuine level. This would be like the Cartithia VA getting harassed after all she's done to engage with the community. I don't think anyone would even dream of doing that in the Wuwa community.
The line between fiction and reality, the line between creator and the consumer, and maybe the most important one, the line between genuine affection and a sense of entitled ownership. It is tempting to look at this and blame a few toxic fans, but the problem is bigger than that. It is systemic, driven by the very architecture of social media, which is designed to create that illusion of intimacy that we talked about. It is fueled by unchecked parasocial dynamics and enabled by a culture where the tools of the fandom, the deep lore, the passion itself, can be so easily weaponized. Ultimately, the health of these massive online communities
Sorry, I'm just looking at the Spiral Abyss floor. This looks unplayable.
won't be fixed by a developer's new terms of service.
I'm sorry, what is he? It's been 30 seconds and nothing happened. Is he just intentionally griefing the stage?
A platform's moderation policy. It comes down to a greater media literacy, of basic fundamental understanding of the difference between a person and a persona. And it depends on a collective refusal from the majority of good faith fans to accept harassment as a legitimate form of discourse. But I think that is all from me, Glaive Keo, and I will see you in the next one. Cheers.
Okay, this was crazy B-roll at the end because it actually looks like this stage is not completable. But yeah, awesome video, awesome coverage. I think he really went into like the deep sort of like dynamics that occur. And this is the thing. I brought up the stuff about Enfield. I brought up the stuff about the other gays for a simple reason. These guys are schizoing out and hurling out all these accusations because of a crack ship. That's because of their desire, right? That's because of their fucking, their need to know that their ship that they have in their minds is the right one. Much like how, in their minds, Genshin is the best game. Genshin is the #1 gacha game on the market, and every other game is worse than it. If they're going to go ahead and start spreading lies and misinfo about a VA being a groomer, over a ship that they don't agree with. Is it very surprising that this is the shit that they're going to do for a game whose existence they don't agree with? Kind of self-explanatory, isn't it? I think this was a deep dive into like the inner mechanisms of a Hoyoverse and why they act the way that they do. But it's abundantly clear that this line of thinking, this reasoning, isn't just exclusive to ships. It just represents the community as a whole, and really every Hoyo community at its core. And it's a little bit rough to be a member of some bullshit like this. That'll be that for this one, ladies and gentlemen. Awesome video by Mr. Glaive Keo. I think he's like the number 4 curl bot right now. I need to go check the internal rankings. They updated them last week. And I'll see you all next time. Peace.